or at home, this is your news.
By staying silent, we are part of the problem.
Today's News Talk Radio, TNT.
It's the Hrvoje and I show, and I'm joined by mi amigo, James Guzman, who's an American-born writer, insurance broker specializing in non-conventional markets and countries, the founder of the Borderless blog and podcast, which you can find at borderlessblog.com. And if you need health insurance as an expat, you can also get a free consult from him. You just go to borderlesshealthinsurance.com. What's cracking, James?
Hey, Hrvoje, doing great. Another beautiful day here in central Mexico in San Miguel de Allende. How about yourself? How you doing?
I can't say another beautiful day in Mexico because I'm not in Mexico, but it's another beautiful day on the Adriatic here in Croatia, swimming in the sea and that sort of thing, enjoying the Croatian style of just drinking coffee and going, swimming in the Adriatic and eating a lot of lamb and that sort of thing. Yeah. So what's on your...
What do they call lamb there?
Janje. I mean, the Croatian word. Yeah, that's the word for...
Janje, okay. I'm sure you're familiar with vida. That's goat, sometimes the lamb and some other things, but that's a really good Mexican dish. If people come down to Mexico, you probably can't find it outside of the country very well, but it's really great kind of a stew of lots of different... spices and stuff like that, and it's goat and really great stuff. So you got to try that birria.
Oh yeah, in terms of food, and make no mistake, Mexico is a top destination. I mean, the size of Mexico, the great variety in the culture and the food culture. I mean, you go to between different states, it's just there's a huge variety. No taco is the same. I think when you go to different states. I think they told me in Mexico City, it just kind of makes my head explode. Do you know this? Like when we say quesadilla, everybody knows quesadilla. That's like a tortilla with cheese, basically. And in Jalisco, a quesadilla is just a tortilla with cheese, nothing else, right? No meat. But apparently in Mexico City, if you say quesadilla, that includes like meat. If I understood that, I don't know if you heard that before.
Yeah, they call it quesadilla, and it doesn't even necessarily, queso is cheese, so quesadilla is just basically cheese. It's it's in the word, but there are places throughout Mexico where you have to say quesadilla con queso if you want it with cheese, because that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have cheese, or you just want a cheese quesadilla. It could just be anything wrapped in a tortilla.
I don't know how that started. I mean, it must have started somehow with a lot of tequila, but it's funny how we started talking about food, because one of the first stories I found, oh boy, it's the wokeism now entering Mexico. It's from Mexico News Daily, which we've talked about before. I would say one of the top English language sources for news on Mexico, but they're very woke or progressive. So a lot of the writers are. Nonetheless, it's pretty decent for getting stories on Mexico. But here it says name change urged for Gorditas. So gordo means fat, like a fat person in Spanish, and so they have this sort of thick taco called gordita. It's like a tortilla that's thick, and that's why it's called gordita. And now it says it's discriminatory. Say critics. So it says gordita is the feminine form of the word for chubby, which some say is inherently discriminatory and should therefore be changed. Proposals for a new name include masa con relleno, that's dough with filling, and masa frita, fried dough. Proceso, one of the top Mexican newspapers, reported. So this has been called, gordita for a lifetime. It's like wanting to change the name of burritos. They're saying. So for me, this is absolutely absurd, and I hope for most Mexicans, but there you have it. I mean, wokeism is just infecting everything everywhere globally. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I'm trying to figure out who is it. I mean, who's complaining? I can't believe that a Mexican would be complaining about this. But yeah, that sounds just crazy to me. It has to be one of these Latinx type people.
Yeah, I couldn't think of any Mexican, like, any average normal Mexican, which is like the majority of Mexicans, like this even coming to mind, working class Mexican. And, here it says it's not the first time, like almost a decade ago, Bimbo, which is like the biggest bread company in Mexico, they changed the name of their cake, Negrito, a racially derived nickname common in Mexico, roughly translating to black boy, to the less controversial Nito. So again, it's just like, I don't know. It's just never ending with this.
Now the word bimbo, I mean, that's pretty suggestive.
I think they have to change now the name of their corporation, Bimbo. No, seriously.
Oh man, no, that's I'm looking at it now. They have people posted on Instagram and stuff. That is just crazy, man. I don't know where to escape this madness.
No, but I mean, and another one I saw, again, the monkeypox thing. I just found this on Reuters, but apparently the article says the government didn't do anything. Quote, Mexican Brazilian monkeypox responses draw concern. And someone is saying, we're not seeing the necessary measures taken, nor the necessary importance given to monkeypox. So I think we may have mentioned this in the past week. This I told you last week in Mexico City, people were complaining to the government that they're not doing anything about monkeypox. They're not rolling out the shots. They're not locking down this insane Stockholm syndrome. And again, first of all, I don't really believe there is any real health scare emergency. That's my view. If somebody has something serious, I'm not trying to minimize that, of course, but we're not in a health emergency, and I'm not taking this seriously, and I don't want masks. I don't want locking down, none of this stuff. And so anyways, again, there are these, but I think, Big Pharma, which owns the press, is pushing this out there to try to get us scared, to try to get us to demand the government, to lock everything down. And what's your take there?
Yeah, I'm looking now, and I'm trying to figure out how many, supposedly, like the official numbers worldwide. They say they have a total of 23,000 confirmed cases throughout the whole world of this monkeypox thing. But I don't get. I mean, what are people actually believing that they just came out with a vac? How are they going to have a vaccine for this? I mean, this is ridiculous.
I mean, they are pretty good at creating paranoia. I'll tell you the truth.
And I think they were saying 96% of the cases were men having sex with each other, like two men having sex with each other. So it sounds like a sexually transmitted disease or something.
Yeah, it's like AIDS 2.0. And it's funny because I was saying this like the past week or two or three, AIDS 2.0. And it's funny when I'm listening during the breaks, I heard Patrick Henningsen, my colleague here.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. I followed him for like 10 years before. It's funny. I watch him on RT and 21st Century Wire and elsewhere. But and then during the break, I heard him saying the same thing, that this is like Fauci and the AIDS thing, brought back from the dead, like from the 1980s. And so, yeah, a lot of us are understanding what's going on here. But even sometimes I get slightly fooled. Like our kid, she started getting, a couple of bumps on her arm and leg. And we're like, is that monkeypox? And then we just like double checked and confirmed, like, no, it was a freaking mosquito. Like we don't have many mosquitoes here, but every night I find like one or two, and it's like, no, she just got mosquito bites. And now like they have me double thinking, like, is it monkeypox? And it's like, no, it's a mosquito bite. So yeah, I mean, this propaganda is insane.
Have you gotten sick in like the last 2 years at all?
I'd say not really, but when I was in Mexico, one thing that's interesting here in Croatia, I can notice a total difference from being in Mexico and being in Croatia. I can see that it's clear now. Like there's a lot of pollution I'm noticing now in Mexico and Guadalajara. And here I wake up, we have a strong wind. Everything's very clean. Like the food is clean. It's very healthy, natural, not so processed. You're by the sea. Everything's so clean. I don't have any problems or issues. I don't see sick people. But in Mexico, it's like I'd wake up and my nose would be stuffed all the time. People in the family are sneezing nonstop. And it's like, there's got to be something. It's the humidity and the pollution. But I had a very interesting chat last week with Joel Hirschen, a doctor, author of Pandemic Blunder, and he was saying that the vaxxed people, shed and this sort of thing. And I got sick a couple times, but very briefly, like migraines and a brief fever. And I'm wondering if it was from being around jabbed people. But anyways, why have you been getting sick, or is the mezcal keeping you strong?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've not taken any mitigation at all the whole time since the beginning of 2020, and obviously never taken any vaccines, never done anything mass, nothing. And I've traveled all over Mexico several times, and I have not gotten sick at all. I can't remember the last time I've been sick.
Yeah, in general, like I don't have problems, but I'm noticing through friends of friends. People are often getting like these different kinds of colds and flus and sicknesses, and I don't know what's going on. It's funny though. Like again, I can compare being here in Croatia. I'm not seeing any of that. What have you been looking at, James, in the wider world?
I just ran across this story that I thought was kind of interesting. That in New Mexico, they discovered a pile of bones, and they were actually mammoth bones. And they did the carbon testing on it, and it looks like they were put there. It has they can tell that it was killed by humans, and it's dated 37,000 years ago, which is 17,000 years farther back than people have speculated that human beings were on the North American continent, and that was before the Bering Strait. So that kind of throws a monkey wrench into the Bering Strait theory. It's 17,000 years before they thought that humans were here at all. So that's kind of an interesting discovery.
It was the Anunnaki. No, I don't know. Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think would be if it wasn't the that sort of land bridge Bering Strait? What's your sort of off the cuff guess?
Honestly, when it goes back that far, I mean, I like these discoveries that they're able to do in the carbon dating and that kind of thing. But these are all theories, and once we know how screwed up history can be, just in the modern times, things that far back, I guess there's all kinds of different theories, and that's fine. I like to listen to them, but I really don't think anybody knows for sure. So I think it's kind of interesting to look at different theories about it. But I mean, obviously, I don't think that there's been a lot of people that don't find the out of Africa theory to be correct. A lot of other things that have been discovered that doesn't really match up. So I mean, it definitely seemed like all over the world that they had very similar astrology and different building practices. And so I think there was some stuff going on that, we're not really sure about, or else maybe just our regular mainstream theories don't add up. So it's all kind of very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, people can laugh. I have my view, but as you say, I'm willing to entertain and look at different views. I'm more of the biblical, old school perspective, the flood, Noah's flood and all of that. But last week I had Robert Singer on, who's a researcher, and apparently he's worked for Kanye West in some capacity, and he was talking about Zecharia Sitchin, that alternative historian, and his theory that the world would end in 2023. And anyways, I'm happy to explore these different scenarios because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. But getting back to Mexico, on Bloomberg, I found a story about AMLO and the fuel thefts. If people didn't know, Mexico is really like the Wild West. I mean, you know the story about the narcos, and it's not just the narcos. You can just say organized crime. I guess you could say you've got narcos, but then you've got criminals that are not narcos, but are just, criminals, and they kidnap, they extort, they steal gasoline, they steal water now, different sorts of minerals. They steal avocados and tomatoes and all sorts of things, basically all across anything that they can. They shake down local businesses. And now apparently AMLO had been trying to end what is known as the Huachi. I can't even pronounce it because I've never really used the word. Yeah, Huachicol. Those are the practice of basically siphoning the Pemex gasoline pipelines. And supposedly AMLO was helping to stop that. But now thieves and cartels are targeting liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, and I'm sure that's the price of that is increasing given the Ukraine situation. There's the story here. It says, I lost it. But basically, the thief makes good money stealing and reselling the stuff. And I guess this is going on all over Mexico. I don't know if you've really looked into this or heard about this from friends of friends of friends.
Yeah, they have a whole culture set up around the people that grow up in areas where they steal petroleum. They tap right into the lines, and it's a pretty nasty business. I mean, obviously you're getting gasoline all over you, and it's just. But yeah, they have music and all kinds of stuff that it's like a culture that's grown up around this. But I've also heard that everybody talks about the theft as far as they're basically poor people that do this, and some cartels are getting into it. But that a majority of the theft at Pemex was white collar, meaning because it's a government organization, and people looking the other way, or people that are set up to deliver off the books gas to certain people, or untaxed and different things like that. But I've heard that that's actually where a majority of the losses come from. But they like to concentrate on the just the what you call it on the ground.
Yeah, it's funny. The article says here, the scheme starts with a bribe. A Pemex worker, so I guess it kind of goes to what you're saying, white collar, is paid to tip off thieves when LPG is running through a line and tells them where to open the valves. Then comes the dangerous part, siphoning the gas, which, unlike gasoline, can't just be poured into a bucket. They must carefully connect the hose to the pipe to funnel the LPG into cylinders. Because of the explosive nature of the fuel, thieves typically offer home delivery. I wonder if they've got an app for that. What do you call it? Huachicolero app. Yeah. Anyways, that's the Wild West of Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah, that's and it's the problem with having a nationally owned organization like that, because if it was a private company, obviously they'd be all over that. But since it's quote unquote owned by the government, then it's it's a tragedy the commons thing, where it's just people are incentivized to take advantage, and the only people that are really getting hosed are the taxpayer, the citizens. And so yeah, I mean, it's the government in Mexico is definitely trying to keep the sovereignty, keep the energy going. And so that's why, a big thing that AMLO talks about is improving Pemex and all that. But there are inherent things that are going to be, not very efficient when you have a government-owned company like that controls 100% of the market.
We don't talk too often about Canada, James, although every week I've got usually a good number of guests out of Canada, but the countersignal.com is reporting, that's a very good publication, that out of nowhere, Justin Trudeau has decided to take a half-month vacation in the Costa Rican jungle, saying that he will take some briefings but needs some me time. This comes a couple days after it's been found out that only 9% of Canadians really like him. And I'm sure there are a lot of Canadian expats out where you are. I've met some of them that have fled COVID-19 84 for Mexico. Your thoughts on this, as well as if you've heard any, if you've been around Canadians lately, and anything that they've been saying of interest, or just your latest thoughts in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I've had tons. That's a big part of my business is Canadians. Tons of Canadians that have have been fleeing from Canada, especially when they had the vax mandates that I don't even think you can leave if you haven't been vaxxed. So they have to find some way to get out of there. I think people have been having, chartering private jets and all kinds of stuff. But it seems like I've talked to a lot personally that they say they don't, all this stuff is just kind of like color of law. And if you just don't comply and you just tell them, yeah, okay, fine. And then you just go about your way, that they don't really check on things like that. So I'm not sure, but yeah, definitely a lot of people that have been coming down here have been fed up with Trudeau, and they consider him to be a tyrant. And evidently it's gotten really bad there. So I've never been, so I don't know how it was. And but definitely a lot of the people that come down here are, not fans. But I guess he has a lower approval rating, but they did have that election and they reelected him. So, I mean, I guess there are a lot of people that approve of him. So, yeah, I mean, it's fine for me if people want to go where they, where they feel that they fit in better, or, if they don't like the government, then move somewhere you do. So that's, if that's what people in Canada want, as a guy like that, then I would say, just leave.
They re-selected him. Maybe that's cover. He's going to Costa Rica, but really he's going to go visit his family in Cuba, right? Justin Castro, yeah. Fidel Trudeau. It's funny. You made me when you mentioned how the Canadians chose him, and how did they say you have to sleep in the bed that you've made, right? Yeah. I remember it's like probably a decade ago or less, when I was teaching North American scenarios as the course, the undergraduate international relations course was called at the Tecnológico de Monterrey. I'd talk about North American Union. We'd cover Canada, U.S. foreign policy, Mexico, and all this stuff. And all of the young, undergraduate female students, when I would start covering the topic of Canada and, of course, Trudeau, and they would all be gushing like, "Oh, Justin Trudeau, he's so handsome," and I'm like, look at him now. The faces come off. Look at the monster that he is. Now, I guess getting back to AMLO, I think every week we try to just get an update on how AMLO is doing, but the political party Morena. I haven't really dug deep on this. I just found the article was published yesterday. I don't really follow the nitty-gritty of political parties. I think it's a waste of time in whichever country. But in Mexico, the Morena is the party of AMLO, and they seem to be going strong. But I think there's corruption in every single political party, and including Morena, and they're being denounced, saying that they're buying votes, and that the person in charge, there was a recent, I guess, internal, some sort of election, and the head person in charge was, again, putting his hands in the cookie jar. And I don't doubt it. So I think this is just more, it happens everywhere in every single country with every single political party. I don't know if you've seen that, or in general, have you heard any of your Mexican friends discussing party politics?
Well, where I live was actually the one state that did not go for AMLO or the Morena party. It's the most conservative part of the country, and AMLO is seen as a progressive. But even that, I mean, people that I've talked to around here, they like AMLO and Morena party, so it's something different. I don't know, it's very controversial, depending on what people think. But that it's just kind of a similar thing in several different countries, kind of like the Trump thing too. Is that people were just fed up with both of the parties, the mainstream parties, and they wanted something different. So they're giving this one a try, and they seem to be pretty popular. I covered a couple weeks ago, they just won a bunch of seats in southern Mexico, and but as far as corruption and stuff, I mean, I don't see that as unique.
But related to crime, there's a story that has been coming up and over and over again. I've been tracking this over like the past year or longer, at least in Jalisco, where the government now is, they're called Pulsos de vida, like pulse of life. So there is the issue of violence against women, rape, or just, what do they call it? The feminicide, the killing of the women.
Femicide.
Yeah, now they're rolling out again. You know me, it's my tinfoil alert, where all over Jalisco now in Guadalajara metropolitan zone, the police are offering, how many is it now? 2,000, over 2,000 these devices, these geolocalization devices called Pulse of Life, so that women can carry them around. And then I guess if something is going on, they can, I don't know, press the button or something and be localized in Spanish. They can be found. I mean, on the one hand, of course, it's good, but I just cannot help but knowing the globalists' plan and where they want to take us, where basically everyone has this geolocation device on them, that they will use any legitimate pretext to sort of just normalize everyone basically having like a GPS chip on them. I mean, am I too crazy for thinking about that, James?
Well, I mean, everybody already carries his phone around with them, so they already got you. But I don't know the specifics on that. If they can see where you are all the time, or just when you press the button. That'd be an interesting thing to find out. But yeah, the femicide is definitely one of these issues that is in the news a lot. I think it's a wedge issue. Obviously, killing women is not good, and neither is killing men. So this is a problem of when something like that happens. That's a problem that with either the justice system or the policing system, just as far as people getting away with murder in general, is it's not good. But then they have to bring it into this men versus women thing, and I think that that's, they're just using that to try to get the sexes against each other.
Yeah, that as well. I mean, I know every week you're hanging out with folks in San Miguel. There's people coming and going. There's the usual expats. What are some of the things that are on people's minds? Are some of the gringos down there, the older folks? I would guess maybe they're talking about foreign policy, the Biden regime, or the economy. What are some other things that come up?
Well, I mean, obviously it depends on who you're hanging out with. You have, unfortunately, even down here in Mexico, people watch their, the U.S. propaganda news. And so, a lot of times they'll talk about that, and you can see what side of the aisle they're on, so to speak. And for some reason, we've covered a few times about Californians coming down here. I think it is kind of a weird phenomenon of people that, they're like, oh, I'm fed up with the United States because it's so right wing and Roe versus Wade and all that stuff, and they come down here, but it does seem like there's a lot of Democrats or like left wing people want to move down to Mexico. I just don't understand why.
This was an interesting story. We've talked previously about other foreign actors coming into Latin America, such as China. And I found an article from dialogo-americas.com on Iran seeking to increase its influence in Latin America. Experts warn that Iran is seeking to expand its influence with illicit activities, disinformation, hate speech, and even maybe new terrorist attacks. To me, this sounds like neocon stuff coming out of Washington. I have not really seen anything remotely related to Iran in Mexico. I've been to one like Lebanese restaurant in Guadalajara. That's the closest like I can, the Middle Eastern cuisine. So yeah, I don't know what to make of this.
What paper was that in?
Dialogo-americas.com and
okay.
Yeah, I mean, we do
I haven't
see,
heard about that, but yeah, it's got to be some neocon thing. They just got such a hard on for Iran. It's crazy, they just won't give it up.
It's just nuts. I think at some point they're just going to start a war. They're just nuts. But we see that we do see a huge Chinese influx. Like we've talked about the commercial Chinese drones. I discovered, I think, a week or two ago that it's interesting. AMLO is building up rail infrastructure, which I think is a good thing, all over Mexico. But a lot of like the trains were purchased from the Chinese, and actually here in Croatia, just like last week, they unveiled this was a big deal here in Croatia because there's a small portion of Croatia that's, when you're going down the Dalmatian coast on your way to Dubrovnik, where they filmed the Game of Thrones, and everyone goes to Dubrovnik. That's like the southeastern end of Croatia. There's a portion of Croatia that's cut off from itself, and Bosnia gets access to the sea. And so the Chinese built this huge bridge. I think it cost hundreds of millions of dollars that connects Croatia. So these guys are everywhere, the Chinese.
Yeah, well, it's a growing economy. I think that we'll see more of it. So, I wanted to also say that we usually talk about the migrants and things like that. That a couple days ago in southern Mexico, they found 94 migrants in another flatbed. They were alive though. They started banging and yelling, and somebody came and rescued them. It was in Veracruz. And the people were from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. So they're still doing this, just like, I don't know, they'll put like 100 people into one flatbed and then just drive them all the way to Texas from Honduras. And also this week, the head of the Department of Homeland Security is going to Honduras, and he's meeting with the president, and they're going to evidently try to talk about what they can do, because they had 2 million migrant encounters since October 1st, because they do it by fiscal years. And so all of fiscal year 2021, they had 2 million. And already with this year, which ends September, so September 30th. So we have 2 more months. They've already had 2 million. So they've had the whole amount of 2021 already this year. So anyways, he's going to go and meet with the president of Honduras. And I guess, I don't know what they're going to talk about, but they're trying to address all the just tons and tons of people coming up.
I highly recommend. I took the time. I mean, I can't, there's so much stuff I want to watch. I can't. I watch everything on 2 times speed, but like once or twice in a week, I will just stay up till the wee hours and just catch up on all these interviews that I've been meaning to watch. And one of them I think everyone should watch is Jordan Peterson interviewing Michael Yon, Y-O-N, I think he was the youngest Green Beret, 19 years old when he did that. But this guy is just amazing. He's traveling the world. He's there with the Dutch farmers, and he was talking about the migrant situation and how it's, he says you have to study this. It's like a military tactic, and it's to bring down the nation. And he says it's like nuts. And he's been predicting, like, we're going into famine, the worst that the world has ever seen this winter. Just like really crazy. You watched that 1.5-hour interview with Jordan Peterson and Michael Jan, just published a few days ago. And I mean, but this guy's like he's a credible person, former Green Beret, travels the world, talks, and he's, saying that the migrant situation is going to get really bad in Europe, as well as you're saying in the US and in the Americas, and then famine, and then disease again, because the famine brings more famine and brings more pandemic, which breeds more pandemics and war and conflict. And so it's kind of confirming what I've been saying for the past 2 years. It's the 1930s all over again. Basically, think of it's 2022, but it's like 1922, and so we're looking at just a repeat of history. That's crazy. And
I see this guy. I would I have to look more into it, but these ex-military guys, you got to be careful because a lot of them are spooks.
That's true too. Yeah. And I disagreed with Peterson. I do feel, I think at this point it's clear that we have a sinister group of people with a sinister agenda, and Jordan Peterson was kind of like trying to excuse that, doubt that, and saying, oh, it's just more like incompetence and there's not so much of this conspiratorial group of people. But I mean, look what they're doing intentionally all across the board. So
right.
Anyways.
So there was a scandal that has been in the news, and that's about surrogacy. So evidently there's a lot of people that they want to have surrogate a baby, and they have a surrogate deliver the baby, right? And this has become more and more popular. It's really gotten big with all the alternative lifestyle, family, LGBT stuff, types of couples and different types of couples. So now a lot of people are going towards surrogacy, and this is evidently pretty big in Mexico. And so in 2021, last year, June, they said that the Supreme Court of Mexico said that it is illegal to discriminate for the people that want to do surrogacy. So they can be foreign, they can be two men, they can be two women, they can do whatever. Then it's illegal for you to discriminate. And so this is one of the Mexico and I believe Colombia are two of the countries that will allow these types of couples, gay couples and things like that to have surrogacy. And so it's been growing a lot in Mexico. A lot of people that have been coming down here, they pay a Mexican person to and they impregnate them, and they can even choose their the sex. They can before they implant the egg, they can see whether it's prone to any diseases and stuff like that. So they're already doing this. And there was a big scandal because there was somebody by the name of Lily Frost who had something called Surrogacy Beyond Borders. And she was taking lots of money from people and then not delivering their baby. So she ripped off a bunch of people, and the FBI is investigating all this. So it can be in the United States, surrogacy is like $150,000, but down here it's more around half of that. So like $75,000 for the whole process.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's an interesting way to make money, that's kind of related to, again, Mexico News Daily, which we talked about before, and I was telling you about this article. This again, they have some good stuff, but very big pharma-ish, very official narrative on every point. Although you'll find stories about Mexico there that you won't find elsewhere, or they'll translate stuff from Spanish sources into English, which you won't find on other English language sites related to Mexico. But they have this very liberal, globalist, progressive writer. I guess she, from what I understand, she's been living for like a decade or two in Mexico, and she's, I think, married a Mexican. But in any case, she says, why, when it comes to reproductive rights, Mexico gives me hope. Some powerful people support women's autonomy in killing their babies, including the Supreme Court Chief Justice in Mexico. So this is exactly what you've been talking about for the past, I don't know how many weeks, about these Californians who are complaining about the Roe versus Wade thing and want to go to Mexico, where it's largely conservative, socially, morally, spiritually. And then you have this liberal, globalist American living there and talking about how she wants Mexico to go woke, to go California. And so, anyways, there's a lot in flux globally. Things are changing, and so I have no idea what's going to.
Yeah, Sarah DeVries. I can't stand that writer. I don't. They always she's doing these opinion pieces, and it's just stupid. She's just your normal Democrat progressive, and it's just not well written. And I don't understand why they keep publishing her stuff on this website.
But I can't understand, if she's married a Mexican or been there for 20 years, like how she still thinks like that. There is a section of the Mexican populace that you could just transplant them and into California, and and that's usually the more upper class Mexicans, because they go through the brainwashing of the institutions. But
absolutely,
I like to hang out with the working class, and so I find them more interesting. And so, we got, I think, like a minute or two to midnight. Any final thoughts or best places to find you on the internet? I know you'll be chatting at the Expat Money Summit in a couple months.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. We'll be at the Expat Money Summit, which is just an online thing. And if people want to sign up for that, they can go to borderlessblog.com, and there's a banner there that you can get a free ticket while they're still free. They might be charging in the future. And so that'll be in a few months. Other than that, just if you're interested in coming down to Mexico, you can book a call with me. Been here for 10 years. Or if you are if you'd like to buy health insurance that will go with you wherever you are in the world, then I can help you with that as well. So that's what's going on. And about a month, and I will have a son. So that's what else is going on with me.
Wow, that's number one. That's the most exciting thing. Have fun with that, and we'll see you in a week. Over and out. Hasta la vista. Stay tuned here on TNT.